Hey, I'm just grooving on that music. I'm just like, I could take off and fly. I think, you guys ever been to the zoo when you saw penguins? I mean, I have. I've seen the African penguins and then I've seen the Arctic penguins. There are two different kinds of penguins. One likes hot weather and one likes cold weather, but they're both penguins. Isn't that amazing? But can they fly? That is the question of the hour. And I have a gentleman right here that says they can. I want to introduce to you guys, and Andrew Patrick has been here for a while, and Mr. Craig, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure, Yaya. My pleasure. I
Oh, the
just
pleasure.
I had shared a story about a little
Yeah.
7-year-old picked my book up, and he just studied it just intensely, and then he just says, "Is this fake?" Like this, he couldn't tell whether it was something new for him or fake or whatever. It is something of a metaphor, I guess you'd say, penguins flying. We all believe it's not possible, but they are a bird,
Yes, they
but
are.
they are more like a swimming bird than flying bird.
Exactly.
But here's the reason for the book. The book, the penguins are a have a colony mind, and um, my people and I, shall I say, I think I'm a member of the Council of Eight. I've studied with them for 20 years. Came from the other side of the universe back in 1945 when we dropped atomic weapons on Japan. And the sun took umbrage at that. The sun does not permit nuclear explosions in its solar system. The sun is the mother of the solar system. The planets were all birthed out of the sun. The sun holds the family of the solar system together in a motherly manner, a loving manner. And the sun provides and protects for for the solar system. So it provides energy, heat, gravity, it provides all the life force of the solar system, and it protects from other suns trying to come in and form their own solar system within its solar system. So, Source, in its infinite wisdom, before it created human beings and granted them free will choice, created rescue teams for human beings with free will choice that get stuck. And so, one indicator of a human species getting stuck is the sun of its solar system radiating certain very negative emotional and energetic rays out. And that's an indication that the sun is going to do harm to the human species. So, my people and I came over from there in 1945, told the sun to stand down, and started working on the normal routines we work on to lift stuck human species out of stuckness. And after 5 years, we realized that we could not understand man's inhumanity to man, that particular pathology. And you can see it on the news every day. I was practically crying watching what's going on in the Middle East and what's going on in the Ukraine and what's going on in our political system here. We have a man that wants to be a dictator running for president. What in the world happened? So, and all of this is just different levels of man's inhumanity to man. So, in 1950, I incarnated on the planet because that's the only way we felt we could understand it. And so, my book is, in a way, kind of an autobiography of myself. I'm the penguin flying. We're all penguins prepared to fly. We're all preparing to do that which we never conceived was any way possible. What we're going to do is we're going to lift this planet, our Mother Earth, to the fifth dimension of consciousness. And some number of us, hopefully a large number of us, my people speculate it'd be about 4 billion of us that will go with our Mother Earth to the fifth dimension of consciousness. And all the other uh, beings on the planet and in the spirit world, typically we have about 3 years we live in spirit for every year we live in the physical. So, we've got 8 billion people here. If we were in a normalized situation, which we're not, that would mean we probably have about 24 billion beings in spirit that are preparing to, at some point in time, reincarnate on the planet. But anyhow, uh, so it's a little trickier than this because we've had explosive population growth, but we're uh, hard at work on that. But anyhow, in 1950, I incarnated to experience man in humanity to man, and I have. I was killed twice when I was 69 uh, months old, and I got killed by a car. I was crushed under the right front wheel. The first time I was crushed so badly, my people couldn't put me back, so they took my energetic bodies back to the moment of my birth when I got slapped on the butt and took my first breath, and that is when the energetic bodies attached to the outside of the physical body, and they attached my energetic bodies to the outside of the physical body. So in my memory, I have a memory of that first 5 years and 9 months that I lived, and I have a memory of the second 5 years and 9 months that I lived. When the one where I was crushed, my senior being kind of scolded me for not remembering it, but I promise you, stuff like that, you don't want to remember it. You put it in that, if there's a last thing you're going to remember, open this door and remember this. You don't want to remember that stuff. It's very violent. But I had a image in my mind where I had just a little kind of plaid shirt on, and I was on my knees and I was crying next to the car, and my body was crushed under the car. And I was just crying at how harsh that was, and how wrong that was, and I was viewing myself from above that, and I started to reach down into the memory and hug the little boy, and this archangel just goes boom through the viewing of it and snatches me up and takes me off. So it was very organic, I guess. I don't know what to say, but it seems kind of like beyond belief, but this is my life. So anyhow, I went ahead and that first 20 years was very harsh. I was beaten like a rented mule by my pops, and he was a brilliant man, and I loved him anyhow. And when he died, I had evolved to a level where I had free entrance and exit to higher spiritual ground. And so I told him I would take him to the highest ground he would be entitled to by any single deed he did in his life. And I did that when he died. And I went into inner space, and he was in a dark place, and there were demons there, and there was the abyss was there, and I was the white light. And I just blasted everybody with white light, went in, picked up my pops, flew through the abyss, and then found the wall of clouds and went up to the highest ground he was entitled to. And that was identified for me by this band of white light on the clouds, and these two beautiful female arms that reached, strong female arms that reached out of the clouds and took his form of his body. We have no mass in inner space, but we have form if we choose it. And it took the form of his body and back into the clouds, and then the light went out. And then I retraced all my steps back through the abyss, back through the demons, and popped out into my living room where I was sitting with my mother. And I had her sit and be in the ceremony with me. And it was a very moving thing, but it's uh, so that's a form of penguin flying. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Wow. So, a lot of people don't understand that. And I'm glad you explained it because some people would think that a penguin flying would be like a fiction, like a real penguin flying, like a fictional book. But this is literally you. You've died twice. What was that like? I mean, a lot of people get into the near death experiences or the NDEs. And I really, really wanted to talk about that with you today because I know that a lot of people don't believe that there is an afterlife, but I truly believe there is. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell
Yeah.
you why. So my mother, she passed away July 21st of this year. It hasn't been too long, so I'm still kind of mourning her death. But when she was alive, the Thursday before she died, I'm outside of my garage, and all of a sudden, and this is no lie, all of a sudden, I hear Kim, and I feel somebody push me, and I fly back a little bit, and I'm like I come off of my feet and fly back just a little bit, and I'm
What was that?
like I'm looking outside like as if somebody's there. Really? You just like experience. So I called the hospice because she was in the hospice at that time because I couldn't control her
Right.
bodily throw ups and
Everything.
stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
couldn't do it at home.
Right. Right.
Anyway, so they said, well, we've had this happen before so many times because the person at the end stages. Now, this is what they told me. I'm not going to tell you who told me,
Yeah.
but
It's okay.
someone that answered the phone.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was just someone that answered the phone. It wasn't the doctor, the nurse. I don't know who it was. It was someone who either worked there or volunteered there. They answered the phone and they said to me, we've seen this many times before. At the end stages of when a person's about to go, they travel outside of their bodies. And the first
Oh.
person they go to is their loved one because they want
Oh.
to communicate to them before
Yes.
they leave.
Yes. Yes.
So I was like, I'm coming. I'm on my way. I dropped everything. I left the food out. I left the oven on. I left the door unlocked in the garage. I mean, literally, I dropped everything. I left my drink in the garage. I mean, I dropped everything, and the next thing you know, I was there at the hospital. I was there for 2 days. But that was the last night that she can actually hold my hand. Like she could squeeze my hand in
Oh.
communication, but that was
Oh.
the last night that she had any control over her bodily functions. The next day, which was Friday, she had no control over it.
Yeah.
Saturday, it was even worse,
Yeah.
and Sunday, she passed.
Yeah. Well, that's
So,
very
wow.
vivid. That is very vivid, and
Yeah,
I have some similar things with my mother, but the important thing in all of that is it's really direct communication from the
yeah,
afterlife to us individually,
yeah.
and it's not meant for everybody. Everybody's on a different path, you know,
Yeah.
and so it's not like so so each
Hmm.
of us gets the circumstances that are best uh, that best advantage us to learn what we came to learn. And in some case, that's the consequences of murdering somebody, and in other cases, it's somebody. It's the horror of being murdered. You know, like that. Each person is learning something. Okay, but it's not. They're not saintly. It's not that the teaching or learning is necessarily uh, loving and wonderful. Okay, and so, but you know, for most of us, it's pretty uh, loving and wonderful
Hmm.
teachings.
Wow.
But you have to have the hard stuff in order to learn certain things, and so you know you do that too. So getting killed twice, but for me, it was a learn. It was I had to get stupefied. I had to get knocked. I had to have the fifth dimensional consciousness knocked out of me in order to perceive man's inhumanity to man. And getting killed twice like that at such a young age, and then otherwise being beaten quite a bit. You know, I've you know uh, I'm like a rescue dog or something, you know. So that first 20 years was rough. And then the
Oh,
next 20 years I got in the army and got out of the army. Next 20 years we're doing great. And then but then at the end of that, then my wife went off the ranch on me and was sleeping with other men in a little
oh,
small Texas town and stuff like that.
mm-mm.
And I was a high profile person in the town and it was really wrong, you know. But anyhow, broke my heart. But it caused me to say, well, I must not be here to win the game I'm winning right now. I'm in the completely wrong game.
Mm.
And so that's what caused me to begin my spiritual inquiry. And so
Wow.
for the last 30 years or so, I've been on a spiritual inquiry. And in particular, 20 years ago, I started with the Council of Eight, studying with the Council of Eight. And in fairly short order, I uh, came to believe that I had come from the other side of the universe with them. Uh,
Mm.
and so, you know, it's way outside of penguins flying. You know?
Yeah, it definitely is. But I mean, I think I've heard, and I know I can't really say I think I mean I know I've heard this before that everyone has agreed to something when they came here,
Yes,
and
yes,
that contract has to be fulfilled.
yes.
So like say my mom, she passed away at 70, but people are actually living so much further past 70
Hmm.
that it's like she died young. You see
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah.
So but maybe the contract that she had, maybe the agreement that she had was just this, that she would go out like this. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and it's hard to see though. But
No.
2024 is not playing. It is not playing. There are a lot of people dying. Like today, Mr. Amos died, you know, and you got the good times, you know, the
Yeah,
fire
yeah,
agents
yeah,
passed
yeah,
away. So
yeah.
I mean, it's like a lot of people this year is just not playing around. It's like
No.
yep,
Yeah.
2024 is the year for a lot of people that are so far have gone, and public figures and people like that. So tell me, does your book explain or even go into touching on a little bit of the meaning of being on this earth at this time for each individual or for you?
I think it's all about that. It's just woven in there. It's not like a dogma, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Which you know, I think it's helpful to read the book with a generous listening. Okay, I've coined this term because we have been trained from birth in judgmental listening, and judgmental listening uh, holds itself as being right and makes the other guy wrong, things like that. But you also are very judgmental about yourself and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I call this is how I start my day. I call upon all that's sacred in the universe to send me those that will inspire me and those that will be inspired by me. And then
Right.
I seek out to live an inspired life every day. And the inspiration happens, and with complete strangers. I call it a inspiration ping pong, you know, ping ponging back and forth. I'm the grand title. I drive ride share for Lyft. Okay, so I've had 10,000 rides in the last 2.5 years, and I've talked to 20,000 people, and
Wow.
it's completely altered my relationship to this species. I have so much more love for this species of human beings than I ever had before. It's just mind-boggling. It's just the simplest, easiest thing, but you do want to have the people that will show you the good side come to you.
Mhm.
If
Yeah.
you're angry at people all the time and stuff, you'll tend to draw people that make you angry. So you know there's a causality that we are all creating our own reality, but it doesn't seem believable. Once again, just like the
Yeah.
penguin flying, it doesn't seem believable that the 99% of the people that have gotten into my truck have been uh, inspiration to me.
Yeah.
How did that happen? It's you just exercise the muscle of the law of attraction. So,
Yeah.
yeah, And then there's so much richness to human beings. Uh, and and people are just living little small fragments of life. We consider it a whole life, but it's really just a little small fragment of life to learn a particular lesson. Like you were just saying, they signed a contract that they were going to go in and they were going to live this life and fully understand and know what there was to gain from that life, or something like that. Or
Yeah.
like I opened up, I said that I've incarnated because my people couldn't understand man's inhumanity to man. So I came and lived a harsh life in order to help my people understand man's inhumanity to man.
Wow. Wow. How important is it to have that open mind, that open availability to learn something new when reading your book?
It's well, it's helpful. I think you can just get the book, hold it to your chest. I actually autographed a book for a young woman and that I had given Rhonda and just gave it to her. She held it to her chest like it was her baby.
Wow.
She just was just so moved by that, and it meant so much to her. And I mean, it's and that it's one of those things that well, my peeps said not to worry about sales. They said that as long as it has the Library of Congress number, which it does, it's in human consciousness. So
Mm,
all of the teachings, the themes, the teachings, and whatever can be learned from this book by any human being is available in human consciousness, the consciousness of this human species right now, because it's registered in the Library of Congress. But I think that you can accelerate that learning by getting the book. I mean, uh, and how many books uh, can say that? How many authors can say that? That my book is in the Library of Conscious.
not not many.
So it's in your human consciousness, and
Hmm.
that, and then like my senior being Shugala said, he said, you got killed by the car, you got crushed. It's in your memory. Go find it, and
Mm.
it, he kind of scolded me, and that's really the only time he has spoken sharply to me, but it was so important. So I must have promised him that I would not forget that I was going in there. I was going to get killed a couple times to knock the higher order consciousness out of me so I could be an authentic third dimensional human being of third dimensional consciousness, and I would not forget. And later, I would be able, because I knew all of that, I would be able to uh, write this book, you know. And
Wow.
so he spanked me a little bit on that one. Because it's
Wow.
a little harder, it's a theory, it was
Mhm.
a theory that I could remember. I
Yeah.
had never done it before,
Yes.
so this is a whole new thing. So it's been wonderful though, and I've been just so happy with how loving it allows people to be that get into my vehicle. As soon as I mention the book, it alters them.
Yeah, I hear
Yep,
you.
they start telling me stuff and asking me stuff and all that, and we're all of a sudden we're in this little bonding, spirit conversation. It's wonderful. And,
Yeah.
but
That's what I wanted to know. I mean, it really does open the door to talk about things that most people don't want to talk about, or they believe and they just never had the opportunity to speak to someone else who actually does believe that as well, you know.
right,
And
yeah,
so that's wonderful.
yeah, yeah. It's definitely that, and
Hmm.
they take the opportunity. I promise you.
That
it's
is wonderful. That
it's
is wonderful.
but I don't speak it in a way where it's like a dogma. I just kind of postulate or what have you, and then I allow the silence to be there. They don't need to say anything, but
Exactly.
almost always they do. Well, you know
Hmm.
what? It's
Wow.
sweet. It is very
That's
sweet.
wonderful. That is wonderful. Well, the book is When a penguin, here it is, When Penguins Fly, and you can go ahead and get that on Amazon. The website QR code is in the corner right there, so that you guys can go ahead and put your phone up to the actual screen wherever you're watching, and go ahead and go to the website. I want to thank you guys so much. Andrew, thank you so much for being on the show. I truly appreciate it. You've opened up my eyes and showed me that I am not crazy. That my mom actually did push me and yell at me at the same time, like, "Get your butt over here, girl."
Yeah, yeah. What a wonderful experience, and
It
that to
was.
be able to speak it into a generous listening, that
Yeah.
and
That was crazy. I told my husband, he was like, "What?" I'm like, "I am not kidding you. I think my mom just pushed me."
uh-huh.
He's like, "Well, she's not here." I said, "Well, she's here."
She's here. That's right. Her energetic bodies. That's the thing. The
Yeah.
energetic bodies are not physical. And
Mhm.
so her energetic bodies came and nudged into you.
That's it.
And
And
that
yelled at me.
and
I
yelled
mean,
at
it
you.
was like, boom. I was like, "What?" I came off of my feet and flew back a little bit. I was like, "Oh my gosh."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I left. I was like, "I'm done. I'm leaving. Bye."
That's
I
perfect.
think I think I left my purse, my driver's license. I left.
Just
I just
yeah,
left. Oh yeah. Oh
perfect.
yeah.
Yeah. And
So
she's laughing about this right
I
now. She's
know.
looking down on us and she's saying, "Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah. Now you're learning. Uh-huh."
Wow. Well, thank you, Patrick, so much. You guys again can get the book on Amazon, and you can also just go ahead and scan in that QR code over there in the corner and go to the website. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Andrew, thank you so much for being on the show. I truly appreciate it. And for you guys who don't believe, maybe you should get the book, because what you don't believe doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. It's like saying, yeah, I don't believe that there is vanilla ice cream until you've seen it, right? There is vanilla ice cream, and there's
There
all
is.
different kinds of vanilla ice creams.
There is. And it's that simple, isn't it? It
It's
is that
that
simple.
simple. It really
Well,
is.
bless you, Yaya.
Bless
You
you
are a
too. Thank
wonderful
you.
woman.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so
And
much.
thank you guys so much. Don't forget to dare to be different all the time.
That's right.